Business Focus with Kudzie, Sharara on the Champions League Breakfast.
22 minutes before 8 a.m. is our time. Good morning and welcome to Business Focus right here on Capitalk. Every single morning we get to discuss a lot of what's happening in the world of business. Good morning to you, Kudzie. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Tinashe. Good morning, everyone.
Great. Thank you so much. How is the cold?
Yeah, it's a bit chilly.
It's
a bit chilly outside, yeah.
Okay,
but it's winter, it's expected.
Yeah, it's expected.
Actually, we have had it good anyway this winter. I think May it wasn't cold. June, we are almost to the end of June.
But July, yeah, it happens. But we will always talk business right here on Capitalk. Post-cabinet meeting yesterday. Any briefing?
Yeah, the interesting one I think for me is the establishment or the proposed development of a floating photovoltaic power plant on Lake Kariba. So what they want to do is to say, Lake Kariba, they lay out my solar panels to generate power in Kariba, and I think the target for the first phase is about 500 megawatts. In fact, we are importing about 500 megawatts anyway. So they want to do the approval. The first approval is to do, which has been done through an assessment, is to do about 600 megawatts of floating solar photovoltaic power plant on Lake Kariba. So it will go a long way in also helping us in terms of power generation. At the moment, we have lost about 800 megawatts. From Kariba. Kariba is just doing about 200 and just above 200 megawatt, and against a capacity of more than 1,000, about 1,050 megawatts, and we are doing just 200 because of the water situation, which isn't enough. So if we come up with these new ways of generating power with, for example, this proposed development of the floating solar panels, I think it will help. I think phase one, they want to start with phase one of what has been approved so far, which is the 600 megawatts. They want to start with 150 megawatt capacity, and then by 2025. So by 2025, they would have done about 150, and then they will do phase two, which will do about 300, and then the last one by 150 by 2027. So that's one of the issues that was discussed in Parliament, and then in Cabinet rather.
Cabinet, yeah.
Yes, in Cabinet. And then the other one is to do with regards the grains intake from GMB, where the estimated intake will be about 210,000 tons. Based mainly on they are looking at the 150 tons that they're expecting from ADA and about 60 tons that they're expecting from AFC contracted farmers. So they are farmers that were contracted by AFC. So this is what they expect. And then in terms of wheat intake, they are projecting about 300,000 tons, largely based on about 60 hectares funded under the ADA facility. So these are the ones that are expected to go to GMB, and then the rest will go to maybe private players and other contractors that would have been involved. Then also the cotton buying season and the marketing season for cotton also commencing. I think it commenced on the 6th of June. It's expected to end on the 6th of July, so it's just 1 month window there to buy cotton there, and so yeah, that's what's coming from a cabinet. And also maybe there was also an update in terms of tobacco, which I think it's a good update given the drought that we faced during the last season. A total about 203 million kilograms have so far been sold, which is down obviously from last year by 24.7%. But all the same, if you look at 200 million kgs, that's not bad. Last year, same time, they had sold about 270 million kgs, but given the drought, I think 200 will take that 200. And also the prices have also been firming, so as much as the yield was lower, but I think some farmers were compensated by the better prices that were paid. So the price of tobacco at the auction floors was up by 25% to 300. That's the average price. That's the average price to $3.61 per kg. $3.61 per kg. So 25% up in terms of the price at the auction floors. And then for contracted farmers, I think the prices were up by 15%, but the average price for contracted farmers was actually lower, which is a surprise. The average price for contracted farmer tobacco was at $3.45, which is lower than what farmers got at the auction floors, which is about $3.61. But most of the farmers are actually contracted, and so most farmers, which is almost 90-something% of the tobacco farmers, are funded by contractors. So if contractors are paying lower, it means also most of the farmers are getting lower than what those who independently produced their crop got, because on average at the auction floors was $3.61, and for contracted farmers $3.45. So the majority of farmers obviously getting $3.45 because majority of our farmers are contracted.
All right, Kudzie, we've got a question already coming up. You've got a burning question as well. Drop it up on our WhatsApp platform 0719 100404. This one says just out of interest, Kudzie, is ZiG a new currency or is the old ZWL that has been removed zeros? Is ZiG being subjected to inflationary pressure that the ZWL had been experiencing over years?
Yeah, I think we were going to talk about ZiG later, but let me answer that question. Yes, ZiG is a new currency. Officially, it's a new currency. The way it is structured, it's a new currency. Because remember, in the past, we had just fiat currency. We just say we've got the Zimbabwean dollar. Governor Gono, Governor Manguje just prints the dollars and we see them. But this time around, they are calling it a structured currency, which is backed by foreign currency and some minerals, including gold. And so it's a new currency. And then with regards the code, ZWL is a code that is approved by the World Bank. It had been approved by the World Bank, the ZWL. And as of yesterday, the World Bank has now approved a new code for the Zimbabwean ZiG, right? Tangachiti ZiG, ZIG, right? But the approved code that will be used is now ZWG. So instead of where we're using ZWL, it's now ZWG with effect from today.
So account ZWG.
Yes, financial institutions, they should now put ZWG. But the ZWL they will run concurrently until August. That's when the ZWL will cease to be used. For now, they will run concurrently. But the new code for the Zimbabwean dollar, which has been approved, so if the World Bank, for example, wants to write anything about Zimbabwean currency, they will use ZWG, and this is the recognized code. Yes, a code, and it represents Zimbabwe gold. So, tamenge tichishandisa tichiti ZiG, but anchinyora
so my pricing ZiG 340. It's now ZWG 340.
340. Yes, okay. That's what it should be. But it's still, that ZWG still stands for Zimbabwe gold. Although we have been using ZiG, we'll still call it ZiG, I'm sure. But when writing it now, we are saying ZWG.
It becomes easy to pronounce it ZiG, but it becomes easy to write when you say ZWG.
Yeah, even ZiG was easy to write. Just say ZiG.
Yeah, ZiG.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's so it's the same anyway. Remember that taingo to Zimbabwe dollar, but kana takunonyora tichinyora manamba stainozo tichi ZW.
Paipa Zimbabwe, you type Z to a dollar sign.
It's like a dollar sign. You remember those days?
Yes.
Even the last currency that was introduced before ZiG, and Zimbabwe dollar. But it is ZWL when writing it, but it was basically Zimbabwe dollar. But there is a code. Every currency has got a code that is used here.
Papa Patoya Mvunzo, with what you're talking about, Kudzie, and by being recognized by the World Bank, does it mean Ravakutenga kunze kwenyika?
kutenga kunze kwenyika is not something that is legislated or it's just confidence. So if somebody in Zambia believes kuti nini I know ndikabata the Zimbabwean dollar I can change it. I can change it without any challenges. That's the confidence that is needed and they can change. Akuna panombonzi muZimbabwe chitanga kutambira marands. Apana akambotudza izvo zvanditi but tinongo accept. Apana akambotudza kuti muZimbabwe chitanga kutambira US dollar. Takangotanga kuita se tomashandi kuita izvo zvotega. Those Zimbabwean dollar pachasvika in I think our mindset iri kutochinja slowly tinashe. Taingomuka tichingomhanya noti rate riri papinasi. Every day it was like that. But for now you don't. You just trade. I know there isn't much Zimbabwean ZiG that is in circulation. There isn't much. It's about roughly 80 million at the start of ZiG. I'm not sure where it is now, but roughly 80 million worth of ZiG was in circulation, which is about making up for about 10 or so percent of the transaction. So it's not much. However, even before ZiG was introduced, the Zimbabwean dollar that was in circulation was again now below 20%, right? But every day taitongomuka tichingoti rate ripapi maprice nasakamira sei. But it is asisipo. I mean, if you agree with me, you can reach to us and tell us what's your experience before the introduction of ZiG, where every day you'll be thinking with the rate ripapi, you're trying all these gymnastics that we were doing. For now, imagine tikasvika December, zvakadai so in your mind zvese zvekufunga inflation every day mangwana ndomuka zvinhu zvakakwira ndofanira kuti shamwari aiwo kana if you invoice someone and that someone wants to pay you in ZiG wakutotanga kutokwata kuti mana achingoti bhadhara chetu unenge uri uchingocheka account yapinda here mari handiti so that ichingopinda wobva waita se kana uchinotenga zvinhu wobva wanotenga wobva watsvaga rate wobva waita make sure you get rid of the Zimbabwean dollar that was then. But ezvinezvi I'm not sure in my experience it's no longer the same. So if you get to December tinenge tabvisa mindset iyoyo kungofunga kuti currency no lose a value at any given moment, within a day you lose a value, within a week. So I think those knows it but paving acceptance. Someone who is sitting in Messina I'm gonna no okay what una ma US or chingondipa zigiro because anoziva kuti pachangoya mumwe munhu waanochinjana naye. Someone akagara pachirundu kuZambia uku, those change money on the opposite side on the Zambian border. In the past they used to accept the Zimbabwean dollar vachitochinja unotoona vakamabata utochoti varumbomawana kupi kumanotsa handiti. At some point they will start to see kuti last week yange yangodaro, last month yange yangodaro, so they start accepting kuti no I can take it because tomorrow I can give it to someone without losing value. So it's about confidence. Hakuna nombozoti chitambira imari yekuZimbabwe yakushanda. And again, it's not all currencies tinashe that are accepted in every other country. Izvozvi so munhu ari kuTanzania hatinambonzwa nzi currency yave nema-challenges. Someone who is sitting in Kenya hatinambonzwa nzi currency yave nema-challenges handiti. Akauya nawo mashillings yayo muno muZimbabwe, iwewe tinashe uine shop yako, will do you accept them? Not only even paZambia apa munhu akauya nemakwacha as we speak today ndine makwacha angu ndoda kuchinjawo handiti ndoda kutenga chakati. I don't think you accept them. And I'm not only talking about what I talk about unogona kuti no tax shop yanogona kuiramba. Even ukaenda kubanki naso uine makwacha wabva nawo kuZambia ndauyawo nemakwacha angu aya ndoda kuchinja into Zim dollar. Not even the US, ndoda kumachinja makwacha angu into Zim dollar because ndoda kutransacta muZimbabwe. Unogona kushaya bhengi rinoti tiri kumada makwacha yayo. And does it mean the Zambian currency hapana? Saka hapana number. It's just confidence and also universal use like US dollar. If you go to any country, kune dzimwe nyika dzekutoti US racho ukaenda naro futi vanoriramba. And avatoritambiire vanotoda kuti urichinje into their own currency, which is fine, mabheri dishanje a US dollar. But I can tell you, if you take some of these currencies around us, you take the Zambian kwacha, you take the Malawian kwacha, you take the Kenyan shilling, and you take them to South Africa, you might face challenges in exchanging them. Yeah.
Okay, so this one says, I fully support the idea yekuti ZiG ngariite shoma market. Zviri right at the moment tinofanirwa kusvika pakuhodha matomatoes kumbare tichishandisa mobile money. Mari ikawanda for the sake of change zvinopa makoronyera mukana kuwana pekutangira kuti vatidzose kwatakabva.
Yeah, I think that's true, and I think it's also some banks at some point there was a financial institution that had become innovative. Vanga vane tumwe tuma point of sale machines twainzi tudikiso toyana tokambotoona.
Yeah, I remember that tudikiso.
Vaitupa tumwe twaitutupa mahara so that they encourage financial. I think I think the central bank is the one who should take that initiative, because financial institution that initiative at my cost and stuff like that, and others will benefit. But maybe the central bank should take it as an initiative and say, okay, kwenga. So if the central bank should take such an initiative, you're going to kumbari whatever name that they'll give them, and so that they facilitate easy use of the local currency. Na tuko tuma smaller devices tunonopiwa makorenyero ngo achataura votanga kuti shandisa and accept mwena ma shop meza njira okay those ones
even mukombi
those even mukombi and at some point my students the Sharara Institute of Technology, they developed a tape card rangara kushanda mazup korere. Imagine somebody just develops a similar even central bank yacho, they can develop a similar tape card and rekuti vanoda izvo zvinoenda kuma branches avari linked now, for example ku home link ori ndindodo tape card rechi rema zig, and then vanhu vemakombi vopiwa futi the same chi vopiwa futi tuma devices toto tumakwenga for now, because it's not promotion, because hatukuko ezvinezva nditi vopiwa toto tumakwenga toto handiti. So mukombo wangu usvika uchingoti chi tape kongoti conductor to zatu wapadara.
Okay. All right, Kudzie, because of our time, 5 minutes to 8 is our time now. Let's talk about corporates. Who is doing what?
Yeah, I think an interesting one is First Mutual Property. It's one of the top performers on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. I think it's in the top 5 in terms of performance. It's actually number 5 with a 47.43% gain. And yesterday it had a trading update. A trading update is where they update the market to say this is what we have been doing in the last couple of months. Like in this case, in the last 5 months. So First Mutual was updating the market at their annual general meeting, where the managing director, Mr. Manyoa, said that they are already nearing completion of their Arundel office park, which is almost done, and this property is projected to get them about $10 to $15 per square meter in terms of rentals that they expect from that. They are also going to put up a 150 kilowatt solar power plant at that office park. So you see, these institutions, property developers going green, putting up solar panels that will also help given the power challenges that we are facing. So that's project number 1 that they are doing. The second project is the student accommodation in Generaye, which is also nearing completion. They are going to do about 388 beds in Generaye for the student cut. And then the third one is another project in Sharara, which is also under development, where they are doing about the plan is to do about I think it's about 350 cluster units, cluster house units, and then they will do another one that will do, I think, 504 beds, targeting mainly the huge Middle East campus. That's I think that's in Sharara. So that's these are some of the projects that they are doing as First Mutual Properties. Yeah.
All right, let's check just 3 minutes, Kudzie. Let's check on the currencies. How are they performing?
Yeah, so before I go to the currencies, just an update on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, where I think sellers are happy. They are getting good prices because the ZSE has been sort of like rallying in the last couple of days, with the all share index up by 2.59%, the top 10 index putting on 3.2%, and then the VFX was, however, down. Top risers of the ZSE, ZB Financial Holdings up by 14.74%, Pro Plastics putting on 14.29%, Unifreight, CBZ, and Star Africa also amongst the risers. On the downside was EcoCash, the biggest loser, with a 10.87% drop. Tenor, Wildell, Ariston, and Mikus also amongst the losers. And then most of the funds that were invested yesterday went into EcoCash, about 4.9 million ZiG worth of shares changing hands in EcoNet. And then we're talking about currencies, rather. right? So currencies, I think the US dollar is firming this morning against all currencies. $1 get you 0.93 euros. It will get you 0.78 British pound, 18.22 South African rand, 25.8 Zambian kwacha, and 7.25 Chinese yuan, and 13.59 Zimbabwean zig.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kudzie. Just briefly, there's a question here. Any update on Beta Bricks?
No update on Beta Bricks.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, no update. I'll make an effort to look for new information from there.
Okay. There was one I was... Okay, yeah. Did you manage, Kudzie, did you manage to find any update from... on the USD invoices paid in ZIG by government departments when it comes to taxes?
Okay, so yes, I approached Zimbra yesterday.
Let's do it briefly because time is running out now.
Yeah, they didn't. They said they'll get back to me. That's the comms guys at Zimbra. They said they'll get back to me. They had not done that as of this morning.
Okay, so Kelvin, you will get the response as soon as we get it from the responsible authorities. Thank you so much, Kudzie, for Business Focus. We discuss more tomorrow.
Thank you, Tinashe.